My dear parents, I welcome you to this baptismal instruction as you prepare for the baptism ceremony for your baby. And first of all, congratulations for that. God has given you the greatest blessing. He's given you your child. God has entrusted this child to your care. And of course, you want every blessing for your child as he or she grows up. You want the blessing of good health. You want the blessing of good education. You want the blessing of a beautiful future. But we are here to talk about the greatest of blessings, the blessing of eternal life. Because that is what you want for your child. You want your child to be with you and all of your loved ones in the kingdom of heaven. And baptism, in effect, is the beginning of our journey to heaven. I think that is important to remember. I like to say that baptism is like the ticket to heaven. Once a person is baptized, he or she is on the first step to be with God in the kingdom of eternal life. Of course, it is only the first step. And your role as parents is to help your child with all of the other steps that are ahead. To help your child to pray, to help your child when we are able to come to Mass to do so, to help your child to learn the lessons of the Bible. When the time comes for your child to come to religious instruction, either in CCD class or Catholic school, to prepare for the sacraments of penance and Holy Communion and confirmation. But all of that happens when you, dear parents, hold your child over the baptismal font here in church. I want to talk to you about the ceremony of baptism. And it is a beautiful ceremony. Many of you, I am sure, have been to baptism ceremonies, either for another child, or perhaps you have been a godparent for another child too. And what I'm going to say now, I'm going to send to you on a little leaflet so that you will be able to review it yourself and go over it with the godparents as well. On the day that we select for baptism, as you know, at this point, we are only allowed 10 people to be here. I will meet you outside in front of the church. We will come into the church. We will observe the proper social distancing, and we will begin the baptism ceremony. We begin, of course, as always, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. We begin with the opening prayer. And then we ask you, parents, what names do you give your child? And that is your opportunity to formally give the names to your child. First name, and if there is a middle name. Then we ask you, what do you ask of God's church for your child? And you answer baptism. You are asking for the sacrament of baptism. Then we ask you, are you ready to raise your child in the Catholic faith? We are. And then we ask the godparents, are they ready to assist you in your duty as Christian parents? And they say that they are. Godparents. Pick good godparents. You want people who are going to be involved in your child's life, particularly encouraging your child as he or she gets older to practice the faith, to receive the other sacraments. You want the godparents to be good examples for your child. That is why it is always wise to pick a relative or a longtime friend to be the godparent for your child. After we ask the godparents, are they ready to assist you in your duty as Christian parents? They say that they are. I make the sign of the cross on the baby's forehead, and then I ask the parents and the godparents likewise to sign the child in the forehead, which is your request for baptism for your baby. We have the other prayers, and then we come up to what I call the main event, and that, of course, is the baptism. Mother and father stand behind the baptismal font. The godparents will stand in front, and the other people, if there are grandparents or whoever, stay in the seats where they are. And then we pour the water of baptism. I baptize you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. And you know, when we pour the water of baptism, God pours His sacrament, His love, into your child's heart. God marks your child as His precious child. God marks your child with the love that will bring him or her home to the kingdom of heaven. That is the baptism of the child. And then we have the symbols of the baptismal life. We bless your child with the holy oil of chrism. Chrism is the special oil that reminds us of God's strength. Your child will receive the oil of chrism again when he or she is receiving confirmation. We ask the godmother to place the white cloth on the front of the baby like a bib. It is a sign that your child is baptized in Christ. And likewise, we ask the godfather to hold the candle. The candle represents the light of faith, which is passed on through parents and godparents to their child. You should hold on to the candle and the baptism cloth, and as your child gets older, remind them about it. Show them these things and remind them what happened on the day of their baptism. We have the other prayers, and then we have the final blessing for parents and godparents, and of course for your child. And after the final blessing, we have another new member of the family of God, your boy or your girl, now a member of the church. I want to tell you a little bit about practicalities. I am going to send you the yellow form. This is a very important form for you to fill out. On the day of the baptism, we need this form properly completed. Baby's full name, your address, parents' full names, godparents' names, and please check the spelling of the godparents' names. And then at the bottom of the page, you will see that there are questions which probably do not belong to you. Was the child privately baptized? That means, was there an emergency and the child was baptized in the hospital? Was the child adopted? And then something which perhaps could happen is either godparent represented by proxy. Proxy means a stand-in. If at the last minute one of the godparents cannot be here, you select someone else to stand in, to be the proxy for that godparent. The godparent is really the one that you selected, but the proxy is the stand-in for that person. On the day of the baptism, we need this form, and we need the baby's birth certificate. Please remember to bring these things on the day of the baptism. You should dress your child up nice and bright. And that's a wonderful thing to do because it signifies the brightness of God's grace, usually in a white outfit. You should have pictures, but someone other than the parents and the godparents should be taking the picture. Maybe one of the grandparents or someone there who was among that number of 10. Parents and godparents should concentrate on what they are doing and let someone else take care of the picture. I want to tell you why we have the baptism here in the front of the church. And it is really very simple. One practical reason is so that we can sit comfortably and in this case, be socially distant from one another. But another reason is because it is by the statue and the altar of our Blessed Mother Mary. And I think that that is a very important message. Our Blessed Mother Mary brought Jesus, her son, into the world. And our Blessed Mother is the mother of us all. She will help your baby to grow closer to Jesus in all of the years that are ahead. I am also sending you a white page, a booklet, which is about the ceremony of baptism, which basically summarizes the things that I have talked about today. And again, as I mentioned before, I ask you to look at it, but also to share it with the godparents so that they are aware of the ceremony. I want to thank you for listening to this instruction. We will be in touch to arrange for the actual date of the baptism, and I pray that the Lord will bless you parents and bless your baby. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. God bless you.